Hi guys, welcome to the video. Hope you're doing well. Well, in this video, as you can probably see from the thumbnail, I'm going to try and explain the different DevFoam software packages you can see on the DevCad website. I quite often get asked via email or comments on YouTube or the website, which version should I use? And now if you've been onto the DevCad website, you can see they do quite a lot of software, and it can be a little bit daunting to know which one to choose if you're sort of reasonably new to foam cutting. Now I've been using these packages for a number of years. 3 of them I've used extensively. One of them I haven't used that much. I haven't sort of found the need for that one, but I'll explain that as we go further on to the video. And I have got some tutorials on the website for 2 of the 4 packages, and the next video after this one will probably be a tutorial on one of the packages as well. So hang around to the end and I'll explain what we're going to do in the next video. So without further ado, we'll get on to look at what's on offer on the DevCad website, and then we'll talk about the first one. So what we'll do, guys, is we'll have a look at what we can get in the Foam series on the DevCad website. Now, I'll put some links in the description so you can go to the DevCad website. But here we are on the DevCad website, and you can see there's quite a lot of different packages here. And all the pricing is there as well. I'll discuss the pricing at the end of the video as well. So the ones we're going to be looking at are DevWing Foam, DevFoam 2, DevFus Foam, and DevCNC Foam. So they're the 4 packages we're going to be looking at. Now all these packages on the DevCad website, you can use them fully functional for 7 days. And all it means is that there's after 7 days, some of the functionality doesn't work. Basically, it won't allow you to generate any G code, or in the case of the DevCNC Foam, you'll only have a limited amount of movement, which I'll explain as we get further on into it. So it does gives you the opportunity to be able to try them first before you commit to buying a license. After that, they still work and you can still use them, but you won't actually be able to generate the G code, which it might be as well just to download them, and before you actually register for it, just see what they're like first before you use up your 7 days. So what we'll do is the first one we'll go and look at DevFoam and why you want to use DevFoam for your projects. So the first one we're going to have a look at, guys, is DevFoam. So if we go onto the DevCad website, there we go. And if we go down to, where are we? DevFoam 2, there we go, DevFoam 2. And as you can see with DevFoam 2, it comes in different options depending upon your needs, and accordingly the prices increase depending on your needs. And as you can see, it gives you a list here of the different things you can do. So we can cut letters, we can just cut parts, nested parts, cut along the vector, laminated, grid, draw parts. There's quite a bit. One of the options that I don't think I've seen in any other package is what they call here cut, twist, rot part. I think what that actually is using a rotating axis. So if you've seen my previous video on the hot build CNC controller, I put some video up showing of it creating a chess piece using a 5-axis CNC machine, and that's what that option is there. So I don't know of any other software that can do that. So that's if that's what you want to do, then probably your only option is DevFoam. Now one of the options here is cut letters and text, and that's quite a common thing people want to do with foam as well, especially if you're making signs and things. You can go and create the text from, and I have had a little play with that as well, and you can generate the G code to create some text. Then we've got cut parts. And now I do get quite a few guys that contact me. They want to use DXF drawings, and they find you can use them in the DevWing and DevFus products, but it uses them a slightly different way. Basically it treats them as a raster image. But if you want to use DFX drawings directly, then the only package that I've found that works really well with that is DevFoam. Now there is another package called JediCut that does work with DXF files, but personally I haven't used it for that, and to be honest guys, I don't use JediCut. I just find it a little bit awkward to use. Having used DevWing Foam and the DevCad products for all these years, I just use these rather than JediCut. Now some guys do get it to work, but I think it's a lot of hard work with JediCut and quite a lot of frustration as well. So if you really want to work well with DXF files and DWG files, then DevFoam is an option. So cutting text using DXF files, and as you go further down, you can see there's also other things it can do as well. It can work with STL parts as well. So it's a very comprehensive program. Now this is the package that I haven't used very much at all. I've sort of played with the eval versions and that, but for me personally, I haven't yet found the need to use it, but possibly that might happen in the future. So but there you can see. Now if you want to really see a real good use of DevFoam, I'm sure you might be aware of the Flight Test website. Now just for each, I'll put a bit of I'll put a link up to it as well, and also probably a little bit of video as well. They recently created a massive B-17 bomber, and they created all out of foam, and they used DevFoam and DevCNC Foam to do that on a massive CNC machine. So I'll put a link in the video. If that's what you're into, using a CAD package to get DXF files and then bring them into DevFoam, then that's probably an option. It's really quite mind-blowing what they've done on there. I mean, they've obviously got the money to do that, but it still takes a lot of work and effort to do it. I think they probably created their B-17 in SolidWorks. I could be wrong on that. It's a 3D drawing, and then they exported the parts out as DXF and then used DevFoam to do that. And Josh Bixler, who you might probably know from Flight Test, he said that he preferred to use DevFoam for what he was doing. It worked better for them, but because they were using it from a CAD package. But it's just a matter of preferences. They did look at DevWing Foam and DevFus Foam, but I think they found that for what they were doing, because it was a big project and it needed lots of different options, then DevFoam was the option for them. But you have to put a lot more work into it to do that, whereas DevWing Foam, DevFus Foam take a lot of the work out for you. So that's DevFoam. So what we'll go on to have a look at next is DevWing Foam, DevWing Foam 2 actually. Yeah. So in this next section, guys, we're going to look at DevWing Foam, actually DevWing Foam 2. This is the second version, and I've been using this for some time, and if you've seen a lot of my other videos, you'll probably see different designs created on DevWing Foam. I use that extensively for all my designs, with wings involved. So let's have a quick look at DevWing Foam and why you might want to use it. So you can see a little bit here off the website, telling you what's been added in version 2. We go back to DevFus Foam, DevWing Foam. So this is the first version, and the second version has just added them features we've looked at, and there's quite a lot in there, and it is really an extensive package. Now the beauty of using DevWing Foam or DevFus Foam, which we're going to have a look at next, is you don't need to know how to use a CAD package, because it takes you through it step by step. Now I've got tutorials on the website showing how to use DevWing Foam, but I'll just bring it up and just give you a quick look. Now as you'll see on this one, it should show, yeah, there we are. Because I've got my dongle in there, the DevCad, it's where all my licenses are stored. I find that's the most convenient way to do it, because if you've had a computer failure for any reason, and you then have to go to DevCad and get your licenses back, which is not a problem. I did that in the early days. So what I do now is I keep them on the USB, and it means I can have DevCad, means I can have the software on 2 or 3 computers, and then when I want to actually generate the G code, I just go in and plug the dongle in, and got a bit of dodgy connection there, and then I can just use it from whichever computer there. So that works out really well for me, and I do put it on a cable there rather than it just being caught in the side of the laptop, because if your laptop gets knocked or anything, it could damage it. So I prefer to have it on a cable like that. So the main benefit of using DevWing Foam is you don't need to know how to use a CAD package. It's all done, all the design is done within the software itself. So when you start a new project, it goes through a wizard-like process, and it takes you through each step, asking you what you want. And then we'll just cancel that. I'll show you one that's been done already. So we'll come back and we'll look at the what should we look at? Now we'll look at Spitfire. That's quite an interesting one. So this is a preview of the of a Spitfire wing, and then what you can do then, you can either clone that project or you can go and modify the selected. Now I'm not going to go into a great deal of detail there because it make this video about 6 hours long with all the rest of the stuff. So as you can see, it's a wizard-like interface, and you can go through it, apply all the settings you need, and then when you come to the end of it, what you do then, once you've done all your design work, you then go into create a foam cutting project. And what you do then, so I've got some that have been loaded already for different projects. So let's just load, I think this is the simple one up here, I think. So we go into there, and then we can create our cutting project. So when you first go into it, if you haven't got one there, it will take through all the settings. So I've already done this, and you can see what I've got there. I've got a right and a left wing, and I've got the left wing turned the other way. And as you go into it, so we're just seeing the top one there, and then we're seeing the one underneath. The reason for that is that you can cut 2 wings at once, and with it being a swept wing, if you turn one upside down, you can do them both at once, and they come out exactly the same size. I'm going to be doing that in a future video, so I'll show you that, so keep a watch out for that. But everything's wizard driven, so you just go through it all. Quite often get that. This part here is to pre-cut the foam block, but I don't always do that. I do it sometimes, and you just say no to that, it goes on. Then you can go into a 3D cutting simulation, and it shows you how it would be cut then. So if I just take the side, the grey boxes there are the limits of the machine, and then the simulation will go through then and show you how it's going to be cut. Now within DevWing Foam as well, there's loads of different options for. So as you can see, this one here, we've got spars and all sorts in this. So if we go into, so you've got your different panels there, and if we look at the wing, so we can see the airfoil, and we've got a huge selection of airfoils, and you can even import your own, and it's got some settings for washout, dihedral. Now if you were to use DevFoam on its own, and you've just imported 2 airfoils, you could do all this, but you'd have a hell of a lot of working out to do, where this does it all for you. And if you look at the 3D preview, and one of the things I particularly like about DevWing Foam you can actually put the other wing on and you can get a real good representation of what your wing's going to look like. So and then you go through, you can add sheeting, you can put leading edges on. I don't know whether I've got any on this, I might have. Yes, I've got a very tiny leading edge on that one. Then we can do trailing edge. I don't think I put one on that one. Oh yes I did. I did put a trailing edge in there. I just put a straight piece in there. And then we can do spars. So if we have a look at the... So I've got a spar going in through there. I've also got a rear spar as well. So let's have a... That must be on the first bit. Yeah. So then we've got a rear spar there. Now you could do all this with DevFoam, but you'd have to have a a good drawing. And one of the problems as well you've got to work out as well, when you're doing a tapered wing like this, what can happen is if you haven't got the speeds of your wire correct, you'll find it will go a lot slower down here and a lot faster up here, and then you end up with it being burnt away at the smaller end. Whereas DevWing Foam takes that into account. So you've got various options for curve, and there's something they call smart curve as well. And then you can just go through it all, and there's loads of different options. And then you can even compute the weight and size of the wing. So if you're looking to keep it really light, it's got some options there. You can go in and you can tell it what materials you use, and it'll give you an overview of the weight. Something else a lot of people don't realise with DevWing Foam as well. You see there, cut parts by 3-axis CNC milling machine. So what you can do is, if you've created a load of sections for here, you can actually create the ribs. And also, if you've created the wingtip, you can create a wingtip. So if you go cut parts, and then it goes through, and the first section there we've got is ribs. And you can actually create the ribs. But to be honest, I've never done it, but so what it would do, it would create these so if you wanted to strengthen your foam wing up with some balsa or ply parts, and you've got a CNC router, you could actually use that to cut them out and then attach them to the foam, and away you go. So I don't think a lot of people realise that it's also got CNC router options as well. The other options you've got as well, you can export the parts as well. So something I've done a little bit in the past as well, you can actually export to DXF, and I've imported them into Fusion 360 to create like a 3D simulation of the whole model. So now one thing you can do with DevWing Foam, you can import a DXF, but when it's imported, it treats it as a... So if we just go on to let's try a new project, just select the defaults there, I'll just call it test. So what you can do, if you go set image there, and you've got different options, you can see there we've got DXF, and you might think, well, I can bring my DXFs with this. You can bring your DXF drawing in, but once it comes in, it's treated as an image, so it's like a raster image. So if we have a look at that there, what it will do then, it brings it in the drawing, but then what you have to do then, you have to go around and trace it. So if you primarily want to work with DXF files, guys, then probably the best option for you is DevFoam. But I think you'll find that if you're mainly working with wings, I think you'll find that DevWing Foam is a better option. It's got a lot more options, and I just think it's a brilliant program. I still keep finding little options I didn't realise was there. So I'll put a link up to my DevWing Foam series, which goes into a lot more detail here. This is just a very brief overview, and I've probably skipped over quite a lot of the important parts, but it's just to give you a flavour of why you would want to use DevWing Foam. So what we'll do now is, now we've had a look at DevWing Foam, we're going to have a look at DevFus Foam. So guys, in this next section we're going to have a look at DevFus Foam. when I first started, I started off with preferable, which was a predecessor to DevWing Foam. And then once I was able to create wings, I thought, oh, could I create fuselages with that? And so the next logical step was to move on to DevFus Foam. And this is DevFus Foam 2. DevFus Foam 1 I originally created, I don't know whether you can see up there. Let me just tilt you back. Have a look. See right up the top there. There's a Hawker Hurricane up there. That was all curated with DevWing Foam and DevFus Foam. And that flies really good. I should fly it more actually. and the image you can see there on the laptop there was that was a BAE Hawk. So this is the actual video series I did. So you can see some of the so that's what I created with the with DevFus Foam and DevWing Foam. The only problem was I didn't get the design right and it didn't fly, well, hardly flew at all, but actually. So that's on my to-do list to make it big. I know where I went wrong with it, and it's on my to-do list to make one that's slightly bigger and get the. Basically, I got the placement of the EDF wrong, and the nozzle wasn't big enough, so it just never had enough puff to get it going. So DevFus Foam 2 is very similar in the way it works to DevWing Foam. So if we bring it up, so the first thing it will do, it will check for a license, and because I've got my dongle in, there isn't a problem there. So when you come into DevFus Foam, you can create a new project, or you can modify the existing one. So if we have a look at one that's here already, have a look at the Spitfire again and get to show the preview. So there's a preview of the Spitfire, and if you go into modify a selected product, project, and we just go through it, and basically what you do with DevFus Foam, you import an image. So you can set the image, and the image can be a GIF file, or you see down here all the usual formats. You can even bring a DXF in as well. So this is how I created my Hawker Hurricane. I got an image of the Hurricane, and so I've got a full tutorial on the website how I did the Hurricane as well. So I'll link you to that. But that was with DevFus Foam, DevFus Foam 2. That's got a few more options in it. So basically, what you do is you create the outlines, and then what it does, it creates all the parts. So if we do a 3D preview, we'll just take the which one is it? There we go. If we take the views off, then you can see the whole sections there. So what you basically be doing is cutting all them sections out, like I showed you on the where are we? Yeah, like I showed you there. So you'd be creating all them parts out of individual parts, and then what you do is you go through it all, and you can add various options. You can even modify each one of these. You can add that's a sheeting option. You can put spars in, lightning holes. So if we just go, so it doesn't look like this has got many lightning holes in, but you can do that. And then what you can do, you can add a wing slot. So this one hasn't got it, but what you can do is you can go in and create where you want the wing slot. Basically what you do is you bring in your airfoil, you know, whatever airfoil it is, like a Clark wire or whatever, and you can put it in here, and then it will then you can cut the slot out. I've showed that on one of my videos as well. And this one is we can create the canopy slot as well. So when I was doing the T45 Goshawk, I did that option as well. And then you can get a full 3D preview. No, there's not a great deal on this one, but there's no wing slot or anything. But and then what you do then is you've then got the same option. You can go in and create a you can create the blocks for the fuselage. So what you would do is you would go in there, and that's all the different blocks. And if you did a 3D preview, again shows you all the different blocks. You can take some of these off as well and have a look at them. And then once you selected the blocks, you can then go through and create a cutting project. You can create, oh yeah, because we haven't got it on this one. Hawk, has that got it? No, I don't think any of these have. But you can create your slot for your wing slot, and you can create a canopy slot as well. So I'll link you to my T45 Goshawk video, and if you want to see that in any more depth, then you can see that. And again, we've got the option to cut parts by 3-axis CNC milling machine. So that would allow you to cut templates for all the formers as well. So so that's DevFus Foam 2, and I've only built the Hurricane and the T45 Goshawk, and I'll put some pictures of that up as well. And there is a video series on that as well. And as I said, I did get some of the design wrong with that, and it didn't fly very well. I even tried putting a prop at the rear, you know, rather than the EDF, but it did sort of fly for about 40 seconds, and then it all ended in disaster. But yeah, so that's on my to-do list to do another one. So that's DevFus Foam. So what we'll go on to have a look at now, and this is probably one where I think people get a little bit confused about, we'll go on and have a look at DevCNC Foam. So the next one we're going to look at, guys, is DevCNC Foam. And you might wonder, why would we use DevCNC Foam when on the website there is the Garble Mega 5X Hotwire program, which is a free download, and you can use that free. Well, the main reason is the firmware and software on the website only works on Arduino Mega 2560 base boards. So that's the board we have there, and there it is with the ramps board, and that's a genuine Arduino. And it will also work on the MKS board as well. But what it won't work on the Arduino Uno. And I know a few guys have contacted me and asked me about that, whereas DevCNC Foam will. DevCNC Foam will also work on the 32-bit controllers as well, on using the Arduino Duo 32-bit, and that's what I showed in the previous video using the Hob Build Foam Cut CNC, which is just down there in the corner. So it will work on that, and it also works on quite a few other boards as well. And if you have a look here, I've got an old parallel port board here. You think, well, why have you got that? Well, one of the things you can do with DevCNC Foam, you can actually hook up a Uno or a Mega up to the old parallel port. So if your old parallel port computer has suddenly died and you can't get hold of another one, or you don't want to get another one, what you can do is have this as really like a USB interface into your old parallel cutter. So it gives you all the wiring. So if we go onto the website, or DevCNC Foam, and have a look at the supported controllers. So here we're on DevCNC Foam. It shows you, gives you a little bit of a write up there what it can do. But if we go into supported controllers, there's quite a few here. There's one called the Thermio Master USB module. That's one I haven't used, guys, so I don't really know anything about that one. So we've got the Mega with ramps board. We've got an Arduino Mega 2560 naked and parallel port interface. So that's basically what we're talking there. Now for a parallel port interface, all you need really, and I've got something in which I'll show in the next video where I can hook up the parallel port cable to an adapter and then connect the adapter into here, and that will allow us to use the old parallel port controller. So, and you can also do it with a Uno as well. So if you've got some spare Unos knocking around, you know, it seems a bit strange that that little thing there will connect up to that and make it work. Technology for you. So then we've got the Arduino Duo as well, the 32-bit version of the Arduino, which looks very similar to that, but it uses a 32-bit ARM controller in it. And then we've got the Foam Cut CNC, which is the hob build. So if we link to that, it takes you to the hob build site, and that's the one that I'm using currently at the moment, which was sent to me, and you know, I'm very lucky to have that. So that's one of the reasons you might want to use it on a different board. So if you've got a board hanging around and that, and you want to use it, you can use it that. The other reason as well is if you're not too familiar with uploading firmware and things like that, then what you can do, and I'll demonstrate this, I'll plug the little Arduino Uno in, and if we fire up DevCNC Foam, DevCNC Foam, there we go. And if we go into settings, and at the top they've got controller type. So what we do is we go down. So what I've got here is the Arduino Uno with the CNC shield, which is this here, which you might have seen before, which just sits on top of a Uno and allows you to put 4 drivers in, and there's connectors there for some limit switches and your hot wire control. So we select that. Where are we? Lost it. There we go. So it's detected it's on COM9, and then what we can do now is we can check the port and firmware. So what it will do is it will check what's on there, and at the moment it's got the old blink sketch on there, if you're familiar with Arduinos. So it's blinking away quite happily. So if we now select check port and firmware, so it says I found the right Arduino Uno plus CNC 3 connected, that COM port. No, it looks like it's missing the right firmware. Do I proceed installing the right firmware? So we just say yes to that. And now it's going on to install the firmware. There we go, all okay. So that's as simple as it is to install firmware with the DevCNC program. And you can see now the blink has stopped. So if we now go on to load Clark Y, try that. And there we are, got some Clark Y there. So we've got X, Y, U and Z. So just make sure we've got the right. So in settings, we just need to make sure we've got the right settings. Yeah, there we go, G code. So you can see there we've got X, Y, U and V. So what we need to do is change that to a Z, and then do OK. And if we went and did a start, even though we've got nothing connected to it, it will run it through. And if we have a look now at this simulation, not simulation, this would actually be real, wouldn't it? So it's actually going through, and it will be running the G code. So I'll just stop that because there's no reason to go on and look at that. Now the other thing you've got as well with DevCNC Foam, you can start recording movements to create. So if you wanted to create a slice, you could do that as well. So if you've got a certain bit of G code you always ran before you started to cut your foam, you could do that. So you can save that and then run them again. And then in the settings, and if you have a look as well, we've got gamepad, and I think I showed that in the last video on the hob build with it working with a gamepad, which is quite handy for moving axes around. and that's all fully customizable. And then we've got hardware limits, hot wire management. You know, depending on how you use your hot wire, you can control the hot wire. So we've got lots of different options there. And as you can see, it loaded up in there, no problem at all. It'll run on there. Now officially, if you look on the website, it doesn't say it runs on the MKS boards, but I've actually tried it on the MKS boards and it runs absolutely fine. So guys, that's DevCNC Foam. And I use both at the moment. I use the Gable Mega Hotwire 5X, and I also use the DevCNC Foam. It just depends on your needs really. So at the moment I'm using the Arduino 32-bit board in the hot build. So I need to use DevCNC Foam. But for anything else, I could use the software on the website. As long as I'm using an Arduino Mega 2560 base board, I wouldn't be able to use the software on the website with the Uno or with the parallel port board. So that's DevCNC Foam, guys. It works really well, especially when you've got a 3D preview of the cut path as well, whereas on the Mega 5X you've only got like a view of either side, so you get a better view of it, and it's got really good hot wire control as well. So guys, I hope you found that useful and it's cleared up the reasons why you might want to use the different packages. Now with DevFoam, DevWing Foam and DevFus Foam, all of them support something called G93. On all the free softwares that are around, I haven't found any of them that support G93. And you might ask, what is G93? G93 is a mode that is very useful for foam cutting. It's particularly useful for when you get more complex shapes. So I use it all the time, and it's default with the Dev software. And so when you're doing more complex shapes and that, it works out what's the best speed for the wire to take, and making sure your wires gives you a good cut. So you know, once you've got your kerf value right, the cuts on the Dev software are, for me anyway, they're far superior than on any of the free software. The free software is fine to start with, and if you just want to do a simple wing, it might be good enough. But as you get more and more into it, you'll find that you start to reach some limitations of what you can do. And that's really, I think, where the DevFoam software really shines. It's got lots of options, and I still keep finding little things, you know, even after using it all this time, I think, oh, I didn't realise it could do that. So that's one of the reasons I use it. Now the licensing costs, it varies depending on the different packages there, but go onto the website and have a look. Now if you look at the prices and you think, well, that seems a bit much, the way I look at it is I don't buy models anymore. I think the last one I bought was about 5 years ago now, and I can justify the cost of the license by that I make all my own stuff now. For me, I enjoy building. You know, if you're just a flyer and you just thinking of having a dabble in foam cutting, and you might not do it again, and it's probably not worth you buying this. But if you enjoy building and you want to get, you know, sort of seriously into foam cutting, I highly recommend the DevFoam software. Now, I'm not being sponsored for this video, guys. It's just purely my own opinion. I'm having tried all the free versions and that, and they're okay. They work. You know, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just that they're a bit limited in what they can do. And once you start to get into more advanced projects and that's really where the DevFoam Series comes in. So I hope you found that useful, guys. And what I'm going to do in probably going to be a little while now, because I've got a few other things to do, like we're going away on holiday soon. So the next video is probably going to actually be in more detail on DevCNC Foam, how to set that up and get it working, which you've seen it briefly here, but I'll show you, and I'll also show you the working with the old parallel port as well, because I haven't tried that yet, but I'm quite keen to try it. So thanks for watching, guys. Keep a look out for the next one, and I'll see you then.